You are listening to Proof of Love with Tatiana Moreau's Dr. Stephanie Murphy and Lauren Kassovitz. This show may contain adult content, language, and humor and is intended for mature audiences. If that's not you, please stop listening. Nothing you hear on Proof of Love is intended as financial advice, legal advice, therapy, or really anything other than entertainment. Please take everything that you hear with a grain of salt. Oh, and if you're hearing us on an affiliate network, the ideas and views expressed on this show are not necessarily those of the network that you're listening on, or of any of the sponsors or affiliate products that you may hear about on the show. Now that that's squared away, let's start the show. Show me your heart. I know that it's beating. Tell me that you love me too. So I know your heart is true. 'Cause I need some proof of love. 'Cause I need some proof of love. 'Cause I need some proof of love. Do you like cryptocurrency, politics, economics, activism, or art? Then check out The Tatiana Show, where you can learn all about it in a fun and non-intimidating way, as if you're just hanging with friends. Go to thetatianashow.com and listen now. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Proof of Love, the show that brings you love onto the blockchain. Two very unlikely places to meet love, but that's not true because we're here to prove otherwise, and we've been doing that for a bunch of episodes so far. I'm really happy to be introducing this episode. I'm announcing it as if it's a momentous episode with some sort of big number associated with it, but there is no special occasion. The special occasion is that I get to hang out with two of my gals and just touch base with you, the audience, and see how the show's been going, see how our emotional lives are going. I know the girls have a lot of updates. So thanks for listening. If you've been listening to the show so far, that's awesome. Please be sure to tell your friends. We're supported by just our listeners and some sponsors that we've been getting in. So that's been awesome. But let me introduce my beautiful co-hosts, Dr. Stephanie Murphy and Lauren Kassovitz.
Hello. I love your intros, Tatiana. They're always different and they're always entertaining. And yes, we don't have a sponsor for this episode, but if you want to sponsor us, you should get in touch with Tatiana.
I may add another sponsor at some point. And plus, Crypto Media Hub, my marketing and PR company, is always sponsoring things. So like we've been producing a lot of content.
Oh, okay. So this show is sponsored by Crypto Media Hub.
Yeah, I guess I should mention that. All right. Well, anyway, thank you to Crypto Media Hub for sponsoring the show. Lauren, how are you doing out in beautiful sunny California at very early, unfortunately early time?
Very early time. I'm so glad to be here for this episode. I've missed you ladies so much for the past couple of episodes. I have lots of updates for everybody, but I'm really, really happy to be here.
You missed some juicy stuff, girl.
I know.
Literally. First, we had the tantric episode with Ben from Tantra Punk, and he wasn't creepy at all. I was a little bit, I'm not going to lie, I was a little bit worried, like, oh, great, some dude telling me about how important sex is. But it was wonderful. And Joanna, who's been helping us with the show, she's been listening. She's listened to it 3 times because we're trying to come up with little audio clips to play for the audience and stuff like that. So she's gone through it 3 different times. And so, I don't know, thumbs up all around.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, I mean, you always have to watch out for that, right? When you're talking about sex with a dude. And like, who are the dudes who really want to talk to women about sex, right? There's like this power corrupts kind of thing going on. But
Ben was cool. He wasn't creepy.
He was so cool.
Really nice. He seemed respectful of the ladies, and I don't know. I was a little nervous. I thought it was really fun.
I thought it was fun too, and I learned so much. I mean, I didn't really know much about Tantra before we did that show, but it really taught me a lot. Lauren, did you have a chance to listen to it?
I did. I thought it was amazing. I think he's so interesting, and especially with sex, it's always so fun to learn new things. And to think that there's, people that have been doing this for centuries. It's such a set part of so many different cultures with sex. So I think it's really cool. I don't know. And it was racy. It was racy.
I watched
videos. Yeah, it was racy, but I loved it.
The videos are crazy. They're totally intense. But Lauren, you have the love of your life. You're about to get married. You are a perfect candidate for tantric lovemaking. Have you tried it? And if you do, will you tell us about it?
I will tell you about it. And
really?
No, we have not tried it. Well, I'm not going to give details, but I'll let you know if it was successful or not.
Okay, you have to give at least a little bit of details. This show isn't going to be very good without details. And this is also like a little bit of the girl talk time. So, don't worry about the thousands of people listening to this show.
Right.
Just, tell us. It's just no big deal. I'm sure he won't mind.
No, I'm sure.
Just us girls.
Yeah, I'm sure his mom won't mind either. I'm sure she'll love it.
Well, listen, she needs to know that her son is being taken care of in the tantric way.
That's true.
You're in California now. You have to do all like yoga and weird hippie stuff.
I know. I'm already doing my green juices every day, so why not just add tantra to the list?
I respect you for
definitely. When in LA.
Exactly.
What about you, Stephanie? Are you going to try Tantra anytime? Did you ever try it before that show? I mean, did you ever give it some consideration? Because I've heard you refer to yourself as a goddess before. And while I agree with that, and, it's sort of like a running joke, I don't really particularly embody it when I say that about myself. But I think that you kind of do. You're just that's about right. You're like, yep, that's right. I am a goddess.
Thank you. And yes, I am a goddess. I do consider myself, I identify as a goddess. Okay. I actually have tried a few elements of Tantra before, but not like full on, Tantra, like awakening my yoni with his wand kind of thing. I had been interested in this guy, Mike Lusada, who is like a tantric sex therapist in the UK, in London somewhere. And I heard about him because he did this documentary with Naomi Klein, I think, and she went to him as part of research for her book. And he does this thing where he's supposedly like healing trauma, like sexual trauma from women. And I was like, oh God, gag me with a spoon, right? Like this man who wants to heal the sexual trauma by giving her
by having sex with her. He's so nice.
Right, exactly. I was thinking, okay, he's basically just a gigolo with different branding. But I saw him and I wanted to hate him so bad. I wanted to hate him so much. But I really liked him. And like the first thing he was doing was just listening to these women.
What's this guy's name? In case grateful. They want to check it out. Who?
His name is Mike Lusada, and now he has this YouTube channel with his partner, and he's releasing some videos about relationships and stuff like that. It's very entertaining. Maybe we could get him on the show sometime. But I had heard about him, and he was doing this thing that he was calling tantric healing. And so I was like, oh, I'm curious about that. And that's when I watched the documentary, and I wanted to hate him, but I couldn't. And I really liked that he was like actually listening to these women, because that is what women want, right? Like, doesn't everybody want to be listened to, actually? Not just women. Anyone wants to be listened to. So I was really interested in that. Also, I had started doing some eye-gazing exercises with my partner, and that was really interesting. I learned a lot from that, and it was definitely increasing our level of intimacy. And at first, it was almost like a meditation where at first it's like a little hard to settle into it. And then you get into it and it puts you in this kind of meditative state and you're really connecting with this other person. And then all of a sudden you realize suddenly you're getting really turned on just from staring into someone's eyes.
You read my mind. That was literally the question I was like, is this too dirty to ask? But I wanted to ask, were you turned on by it?
Oh, yeah, like incredibly turned on.
Whoa, eyeballs.
Definitely try it. And even if you do this with someone you're not attracted to at all, it definitely has the effect of increasing the sense of bonding or intimacy. Like, for example, if you did this with a friend or if you did this with a stranger, you'd be staring into someone's eyes and you realize like, hey, we're all human beings, man. Everything's connected. And you feel this sense of spiritual connectedness. I don't know. It's like hard to describe. And I'm like a very logical person. I wouldn't normally say I experienced something like this, but you really do. So just try it, find a willing victim and set a timer and just stare into their eyes for 3 or 4 minutes. Maybe start with 1 minute if that's uncomfortable. But some people are like really have a lot of discomfort with this, right? Because we're taught that we're not supposed to do this. Like it's rude to stare, and when we're kids, we might do a staring contest, but then it's like somebody's the winner and someone's the loser. Whoever blinks is the loser, right? Well, blinking is okay in eye-gazing exercises, but just try it and see what you can learn from that experience because it is very different doing it as an adult.
I love it. I'm going to try that.
I have an idea. So I've been thinking about video elements for both this show and the Tatiana show. Maybe we could make a video and I'll literally just stare at the audience for 5 minutes silently. Do you guys think I could do it? Do you guys want to try it? We could do a triple screen.
I would try it. I'm in.
I mean, it wouldn't be quite the same thing, but I still think it might be kind of interesting. I don't know. A little weird experiment, something to think about.
Yeah,
it's kind of hard doing this over the internet because there's always the problem of, do you stare at the screen or do you stare at the camera?
The camera.
Oh, yes. Yeah, well, yeah.
But if you're staring at the camera, then you're not really looking at the other person. So it's like, it's hard. It's where do you put your focus?
Well, if we're doing it in a video and we're letting other people watch it, then they can just, I don't know, like we wouldn't be able to see them anyway. So yeah, I mean, it would be a one-sided experiment. We could work out the details and get back there.
I think it's still worth a try.
I want our audience to gaze into our eyes. I thought it would be a good way to bond. You know, it's a new show.
Yes, we're going to be also sending them subliminal messages to listen to every proof of love as soon as it comes out.
Very good idea. Anyway.
Oh shit! I wasn't supposed to tell them about that.
Oh.
Whoops. Oops. Anyway.
Cool. So the tantric episode was very good. We talked about all sorts of exciting things.
And Tatiana, you read it, like, we also did this episode about nonviolent communication with Pamela Morgan, which I was really surprised by. I thought she was going to talk about attachment theory, but she just came to us that day of the recording. And before we started taping, she was like, oh, I think I want to talk about this new thing. It's called nonviolent communication. And I was like, wow, I know about that. And Tatiana, you were kind of skeptical, but by the end of the episode, you were at least convinced to read the book, and you read it since then, right?
Yeah. So I was, impressed with the episode. I really enjoyed it. I felt uncomfortable at times, but I think that that's maybe a good thing, because that means that you're maybe getting close to something that, I don't know, something's uncomfortable. Supposedly you're supposed to like dig around in there. I don't know. Anyway,
yeah, it's a sign of growth, right?
But I think that, I liked the audiobook very much. Thank you for the recommendation to listen to it at 1.5. I did 1.25 and I think it had a better pace. Mm-hmm. But, just a pro tip for anybody who wants to check it out. It's only 5.5 hours, so it didn't take much time at all. And the book was a lot of stories. I mean, I don't know. I think it's going to take me a minute to really process what I listened to. I don't know if there's really a process that was outlined versus just a bunch of random stories that are supposed to give you hints on how to do it.
You're not that excited about anecdotes. You prefer more hard evidence.
No, I like his anecdotes, but they're not crystal clear. And I had lunch with a friend yesterday, and she was saying that she read that book while she was in a abusive marriage, and she felt like it was very victim blamey, and she really disliked it. And she raised some of the apprehension that I had brought about initially. And I'll tell you, I feel like you and Pam were actually better advocates for NVC or compassionate communication than, the book was cool, but I think having it as something that you can work out with a specific use case with friends is kind of an interesting way to explore it, and a little bit more provocative than just reading the book. So I basically got a free therapy session with you guys, and everybody else can only listen in and yes. Like, I don't know, read the book or whatever. But it was, it was an interesting experiment for me, because I did feel very vulnerable and weird in that episode. And I think that, I don't know, overall, if I can evoke that, then maybe it'll inspire other people to do that too, even though it was uncomfortable. And I still do not completely agree with everything. I actually also spoke to it with a therapist friend of mine, and she said that she was kind of like, duh. Yeah, that's what the basis of all like psychotherapy is.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. The therapist said that basically it wasn't saying anything new.
Yeah, she didn't think that it was, she didn't mind what he had to say about it. She just didn't think that it was all that important in that format versus in other ways of trying to express that. But I think, when you're sometimes you're all all the people are talking about something at the same time, and they're labeling it something different, and just the way of explaining something resonates with somebody better than another, you know? So even if like so I'm thinking of when MK Lord started ripping on Jordan Peterson. Actually, I love Jordan Peterson, and she was saying that, oh, Jordan Peterson is just using old information. That doesn't really bother me. You know what I mean? Like if you repackage some old wisdom, I'm cool with that. But anyway, I don't know. NBC, it was a really cool episode, and I was really grateful to have that. Oh my God, I'm going to say this. Safe space. Talk about that. I thought it was a really fun and interesting, like journey into oneself and thinking about how you can be better at talking with people in the future. I don't think I'm good at NVC by now, by the way, just so you know. I'm not sure how to implement it in my life yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. And especially the hardest people to communicate with are the people who you've known the longest and you have the most history with, and you've heard each other a lot, right? Like your family and like your ex-partners and current partners and things like that.
Scary stuff. Lauren, did you get a chance to listen to the episode though?
I haven't yet. That's on tap for tomorrow night. Tomorrow's Friday, right? Yes, for tomorrow night.
Do you guys ever listen to Proof of Love together? Because my goal is for us to be able to, you know, share this with our partners and maybe spark conversations. Do you think that's happened yet? I mean, the tantric one, you know. That's one.
Yeah, absolutely. I listened to the nonviolent communication one with my partner.
Oh, really? Oh, nice. Well, he's going to come on and talk about it soon.
Yes, he is.
Oh, I love
You're going to meet him. Everyone's going to meet him.
Oh, that's so exciting.
Lauren, do you listen to the episodes?
We haven't listened to them together just because our schedules have been so insane the past couple of weeks, but he's been listening to all. So hi. He's been listening to all of our podcasts and we've been discussing them afterwards, but it would be really nice, especially for that one, to listen together.
Well, I would like to see what his take is on a non-crypto guy that's just, you know, happens to be in love with a crypto gal. Yeah. You know, if he's getting anything out of it. Do you think he would ever come on and chat with us? We could. I don't know. Maybe we could butter him up and ask him.
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe. He's pretty shy, so I don't know how comfortable.
We can leave him. We can leave him shy. We don't want to torture him. But I would like to get some more feedback. So, do you have any yet? And if not, can you bring us some?
Well, he's found everything very interesting. I think his big fear having me on was that I was going to expose a lot of personal information about us because he's a very private person, and I haven't. You know, I told him we're going to be talking about things that are important to us and feelings and all of that jazz, and he's cool with it. I think for any partner, there's that little sense of fear. I was thinking about like a stand-up comedian who's married and the wife or the significant other or husband, whatever the case, is always going to be kind of worried about what they're going to talk about, but they know that
like, will they be the butt of jokes or something?
Right. And
totally.
But they know if they're a good person, it's going to be with love. And so he was really pleased with how it turned out. Even in the long distance episode where I talked a little bit about, you know, video chatting, he was very comfortable with it. So yeah, I think it's working out in that sense. And I know a bunch of my exes are listening to the show. So, hey guys. And I
think some of my exes are listening too.
And I got really good feedback from one of my exes who I'm still pretty good friends with. And he loves it. He's loving just getting the female perspective on things. You would think that a lot of these straight guys get that all the time, but they don't. And I think we're being pretty raw and vulnerable, and we're not being bitches. You know, we're not being bitches. Yeah, and we're not being crass all the time. And
a little bit of spice here and there.
A little bit. And I think it's appreciated by a lot of guys who maybe don't get to hear this from an outside perspective of somebody that they're not related to or with. So hopefully it's useful for more men also in that sense.
So I want to circle back to your new job and that stuff, but I did want to not forget about David coming on the show. Yeah. So Stephanie, can you tell us a little bit about that? Because I felt like after the last few episodes, we needed a little bit of breathing room. There's been so much going on, and I just wanted to kind of have like a girl talk, but we wanted to expand a little bit on what we were talking about with Pam. So can you give us a little bit of background and some insight, if you don't mind being put on the spot?
I don't want to talk about that yet. Maybe we can
it's going to be like a teaser. I just built it up for everybody, and you're just like, no. Oh, no, not this time.
Oh, it's like a cliffhanger episode of Lost or Game of Thrones. Like next time on Proof of Love, we learn.
All will be revealed in time.
Fair enough. Okay, so then in that case, Lauren, tell us. You got a new job. It's apparently fabulous. You're loving it. If you if you didn't love it, would you tell the audience? You can't.
I can't, but I do genuinely love it. It's brand new. It's incredibly busy, but I'm working with really cool people. For me, I know we don't want to talk too much about work, but this is the first time in years that I've actually worked in an office in a kind of 9 to 6 capacity. And I've learned through all my different jobs that if I am going to have an office job, in quotes, it's going to be the kind of job where I'm working with creative people. And this is a really creative office. I think for me, just how it ties into the show is that I'm still kind of getting my groove on the time difference and maintaining relationships with friends and family who are mostly on the East Coast, because when I was working remote and looking for work as well, I had a lot of time to talk to people on my downtime that worked for them. And now that I'm in an office every day and busy at that, I don't have those daytime hours to really keep in touch with anybody. I'm not on Facebook at all during the day. So I kind of feel like I'm just lost in space a little bit in terms of catching up with everyone. So I think once I get that ironed out, settled, understand who can talk when, it'll feel a lot more comfortable for me. I think that's where I'm at.
Well, that's an interesting topic because, how do you keep in touch with family and friends after a long distance move? And
it's
I've had
hard.
some challenge recently too, because of some life changes that, kind of cut down on my time where I'm available to talk. And I don't know, my work is a voice actor, and I'm a voice actor and audiobook narrator. And sometimes I'm like talking all day, and then someone calls me and wants to talk on the phone, and I'm like, oh, I really want to talk, but I'm like, I've been talking all day. I want you to do the work this time.
Yeah, you're talked out.
Yeah, talked out, right. And, also even just running a business as an introvert is sometimes really draining and taxing. So what are your strategies for that, Lauren? What are you learning?
So I think it's really on a friend by friend and family member by family member basis, because everyone has different schedules, especially these days. I mean, a lot of my very close friends from New York are real estate agents. So they are available to talk at these random hours. If I wake up at, 6:30 a.m., oftentimes they're around if they want to chat for 15 minutes. And I think with family, it's been a little bit easier. I can call during the day, say hi. I can say, let's talk on the weekends. But I really think you have to take stock of the people that you keep in touch with and how you keep in touch, because I have plenty of very, very close friends I've had for decades who I don't talk on the phone with ever. We email. And we email multiple times a day. So you have your email friends, you have your, messenger friends, you have your text friends, you have your phone friends, you have your in-person friends. And I think it's just kind of categorizing who fits where and how people are the most comfortable keeping in touch and how your relationship has worked throughout the years.
Yeah, but do you let them set the pace?
No,
because I get it. Everybody has their preferred way of keeping in touch, but doesn't anyone care about my preferred way of keeping in touch?
Oh, no, totally. I mean, for me, a lot of the friends that I have that are very close friends that I see whenever I'm visiting their town, I would say primarily my friends from DC, we're really just email friends, but we see each other enough in person and we email enough during the day that I sometimes feel like I'm much closer and much more in the loop with them than my New York friends, who are not great with email, also not great with the phone. And so, we'll catch up once a month, but they're not really knowing what's happening on a day-to-day basis than, my friends that I email with, because I can just be like, it's been a crazy day, blah, 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 blah. This is what we're doing this weekend. And it's very easy for me. I almost feel like I've set that pace years ago with certain friends. So I think it's a harder thing with newer friends. I would say that's probably our friends within the past couple of years, but no, it's at your pace. I just made a gigantic move away from 99% of my friends and family. The adjustment in and of itself of just being so far away is extreme. It's extreme. I've had some really, really rough days where no matter how amazing your partner is, and you guys know, I mean, my fiance, I couldn't ask for anything more. He fulfills every expectation I've ever had in what a good partner is. He's super supportive, but at the end of the day, he's one person. And one person can't give you everything, and no matter how hard they try. So it's been tough. And I think I've found what works for me, and I've almost had my friends follow through with that. But it's a challenge. I mean, it's always going to be a challenge when you're keeping in touch. I have one particular friend who is almost impossible to get a hold of. She does not text, she does not email, and she's so hard to get on the phone. We talk once every 4 months, which for me is not enough to maintain a close friendship.
Right.
But that's how often we can catch each other, and that's kind of how our friendship has gone. It hasn't decreased in love for each other, but we just don't know what's happening on a day-to-day basis. So it's more, I don't know, I think it's really personalized per person. Like Tatiana and I have always been really good phone friends. It's always been
Tatiana's awesome at keeping in touch. Like she does a lot of different ways, and then she calls, and it's like really sweet. I love the way you keep in touch, Tatiana.
I agree.
I'm a good friend.
You are a really good friend, and you have there's so many ways to reach out to you. And I think that's important too. And I think it's also
she's
really
extroverted. Like we need that. Lauren and I are introverted. We need to do a show about this sometime, but Lauren and I are introverts. And sometimes it's really hard for introverted people to just be social and keep in touch. But Tatiana is an extrovert, and it's like it comes naturally to her. I think you even have a hard time, Tatiana, like kind of understanding sometimes when someone like Lauren or I is like, I don't know if I want to post on social media or something.
Yeah, no, I don't understand that at all. Like to me, it's like going to the bathroom and bringing your phone with you. Like obviously, I don't know.
No, it's true. But you make it easier for us, because I always say that
you draw us out of our shell. That's right.
You do.
Oh, good.
Like when I was having a difficult time in my life with a family member being ill, Tatiana was like one of the only people that was constantly checking on me every day. How are you doing? How are you doing? And that was really helpful. Like I will never forget that.
Yeah, because that was a horrible thing that was happening to you. I would hope that somebody would check in on me, and that pain doesn't go away in like a day or two if you ask somebody, and that's just it. It's an ongoing process that you have to go through. I don't know.
Yeah, so you have the empathy down.
It's an easy thing to empathize for that.
Communication.
No, but it's important, and I think it makes people like us feel really good, because I know I'm a extroverted introvert, as they like to say. I don't have that much of an issue with keeping in touch with like boatloads of people, but it's kind of pulling me out. Like you've gotten me to socialize a lot more, just in general. Like, let's go to this crypto event. Let's do this. Let's do that. Normally in the past, I'd be like, no, I'm tired. I'm watching Netflix. No. Eating pizza. No. But it gives you new experiences. And also for somebody living so far away from everybody, the fact that you're aware of how difficult it can be for me, and you pull me out of my shell, but you also give me the leeway when you're like, okay, she probably needs a few days just to like decompress over the weekend, and you're not harassing me all weekend.
Yes.
Like, it's a really kind of finely tuned skill and gift you have. So I don't know, this has become like a We Love Tatiana episode, and I love it.
If anybody wants to be my friend, I'm taking applications at Tatiana@cryptomediahub.com.
Yes, we are both. Lauren and I are the references where we recommend.
Excellent. Yeah,
we are
5 stars.
Audio references as well as written, perhaps.
It's true, but I think at the end of the day, with maintaining any kind of difficult schedule, like we've talked about on different episodes, where it's not even being far away or a time zone, I think both people on both ends really just need to work and compromise, almost like a love relationship in a lot of ways, to make it work for both of you. If you want to maintain that friendship and that connection, you do what's comfortable for you, but you also do what's comfortable for them. And then nothing really should change. It's hard not to see certain people in person all the time, but I have plenty of very close relationships, literally for decades, of people that I see every 5-6 years. And they're still very, very, very important people in my life, and vice versa. So it's that relationship compromise thing, I think, at the end of the day.
Do you guys ever worry about getting old and thinking about how we have limited time with our friends and our family? I think that when I lost my grandmother, it was so shocking to me, because when I lost my grandfather, it was in a blur of some other things. But when I lost my grandmother, it really hit me just how finite time was. And I have this really good friend, shout out to Joanna, who's probably like my best friend in the world. We've known each other since we're like 5. And she's been living in Dallas for years and years. And I really, really miss her. And as our lives go by, I think to myself, my gosh, we need to start making more time to spend with each other, because we're not always going to have the luxury of being able to travel and see each other. We're not going to have the luxury of being able to go on a trip together or whatever it is. So I don't know. Do you guys ever think about that? I don't know. I feel a little bit morbid at times, but I worry about the limited amount of time that we have with everybody and not being cognizant of that.
I could tell you personally, I think about that all the time, especially last summer when my mom was very, very ill and was having multiple heart surgeries. I thought about that every day, every single day. And it kind of bleeds out into different things, because it was, the God forbid, the idea of losing her. My mom's my best friend on earth, but it's also, certain family members weren't able to be there all the time because they had work or this or that. And, you do think about that. You want to be able to spend as much time with the people you love. And it's hard with our schedules, especially in our age group, with so many people with kids or moving around for work. It is really, really difficult. And it's a scary thought, because you do want to get that time in, and you want to get it in when you're old too. But you have to have like a measure of realism when it comes to aging and what actually happens. And yeah, it's a really scary thought. I mean, how do we bypass that? Do we just accept that that's a part of life? Do we make a bigger effort to see each other? I don't know.
Yeah, this is like the eternal problem. I mean, how do you balance time in life, right? And if you're losing a family member or losing someone close to you, if you have that experience of like losing someone, it really drives home just how short life can be, right? And what do we do with that information, right? I know for me, like I've learned that lesson the hard way, and it really pushes me to keep in touch more and to be more social, because yeah, that person could die. You could die.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So, you got to do something. You got to like kind of plan for the worst and hope for the best, as my dad said. Like, try to like act as though, assume, like take care of your body, right? Assume as though your life is going to be long, but realize that it could be short. You just don't know, and try to tie up any loose ends. This is getting so sad and morbid, but it's like important to talk about.
Well, okay. So basically, the new attempt, because I feel like sometimes we try and set like goals and stuff, and I think that's good. Maybe what's our action item? People, call your loved ones. Don't just send them.
Say one thing you've been afraid to say to somebody that's important. Say one important thing you've been afraid to talk about.
Yes. Or you can just record an audio message telling them that you love them. And then they can like hold on to that and play it whenever they want. That's easy if you don't want to like confront your demons yet. And this is, early on in
such a great idea.
Journey.
Maybe mine would be the stretch goal, and Tatiana's.
I like that. Yeah, mine's the easy goal. Well, because I think about all the content that I have of my grandmother, and like somehow I guess at the end somebody smart took over and reminded me to start taking videos and pictures, but there's really never enough. So do that. Oh my God, this episode's so depressing. Can we?
I know. Well, I want to hear updates that have been going on with you guys. How do you feel like things have been since we started the podcast on a personal level? Are you both feeling really comfortable that we're sharing all of this? Does it feel uncomfortable at times? I don't know. Where are you guys at with this?
Yeah, it does feel uncomfortable. Like I've really had to get outside of my comfort zone, especially with the social media, because as time goes on, I don't know. I feel less and less excited about social media.
Yeah, it's miserable and sucking your life away and making you sad.
Yeah, but it's kind of necessary if you want to put yourself out there. And that's just the one part I really hate about any aspect of putting myself out there on the internet. I'm happy to go on a podcast and talk like it's just us girls and reveal stuff and whatever. Even talk about my sex life, whatever. But when it comes to actually doing the marketing aspect, that makes me really uncomfortable. And I don't know exactly why that is, but I think it probably has something to do with, like not fitting in when I was a kid. Like Facebook can feel like high school or something. It can feel like you're trying to get in with the popular crowd or something like that, or you're trying to get noticed. And for an introverted person who has a history of not fitting in and getting excluded from groups of people that I wanted to fit in with, that can be just really icky, So I think that's been the biggest challenge for me. I really love the idea that I just get to show up and talk and my voice is on the podcast, but I don't really have to do any of the posting the show or anything like that. That's great. I'll do that all day. That is my biggest barrier to podcasting more on my own, is that I just hate doing that extra work. Like, I love recording the podcast. I hate posting the podcast and marketing the podcast. So if someone else handles that, I'm good, which is why I'm so glad that Tatiana suggested this idea, because she's so good at those things that I'm so bad at.
Yeah, same.
Well, the idea was to do a show where, it's just basically all my role is to show up and talk. That's what I want from a show. Right? And you're going to handle not doing it yourself, but you're good at handling, making the connections to outsource the other work of doing the podcast, which is sharing it.
Yeah, it's no fun. The only thing I want from you guys is sharing it on your socials, because you guys have people that love you and want to support you. And my goal is to make this show go beyond just, crypto people and libertarian people. I don't know. I would be really excited to try and get this out. And that's what I'm going to be working toward with the team over the next few months. So I'm excited to see how it goes. We're getting a lot of people listening, and yet we're not getting any comments. I want people to give us some comments. Like, we've been getting some love on social media. So, proof of love cast, right? And then I don't know, but I kind of thought that people would start sharing their gutsy stories. And I don't know. Are you out there, listeners?
Yeah, send us some juicy listener email.
Huh?
Send us some juicy listener email, and we'll do advice on your anonymous question. We'll keep it anonymous.
And please have a funny, bonus points if you can have a funny name, like,
like Fanny Wanks a lot.
Yeah, Fanny Wanks a lot. That's perfect.
We have a contact form on our website, don't we?
Yeah, we do. I would love it. Even if people made up funny stories, I would really like to read them. Even if they were outlandish.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be true. Right, exactly.
I mean, we can have a little kind of like Dear Abby thing too, or Dear, I don't know. What's that other one?
Oh, Say Anything. So listen,
Say Anything, yes.
I was thinking about this a couple weeks ago, and if you're listening, if you have an opinion about this, this is what we want. We want people to send us embarrassing stories. Like, I was on the bus and I had my period and I had white pants on. Or like, I had sex and then this crazy thing happened. And, I don't know. We want embarrassing stories. I might actually, I'll have to think this one through, but I might want to pony up one. I don't know of one offhand that I would feel comfortable sharing, but it has to be juicy enough that it would inspire other people to send in their juicy stories. But I want to see some proof of life.
I agree.
Proof
you know
of
what,
life.
guys?
Yes.
Everyone, you'll be private. I mean, just to the listeners and friends out there, we're not going to say your name. You're not going to.
We wouldn't do that to people. We're not jerks. That's not our objective.
Yeah, we just want to discuss it. I can think of a few things offhand right now, like period sex can be an interesting thing to discuss, and the mishaps that happen during period sex.
I feel like at least 50% of the male audience was just like, like it turned it off.
Oh yeah, but it really needs to be talked about, because especially if you have both partners who have periods, then it's like half the time someone has it.
Oh my God,
okay,
yeah.
Fine. I think we could do, all right. So what are our upcoming episodes? We're going to do a Myers-Briggs. We're going to get a little more NVC, right?
Yeah, I want to talk about the introversion and extroversion, at least, even if we don't talk about the whole Myers-Briggs thing. Definitely introversion and extroversion.
Oh,
and,
I have one too. I have a very good friend who's an amazing dating coach and kind of dating guru in New York City. And she wants to come on the show. She has some really interesting ideas about dating, and I can't wait to have her on. That'll be in probably like the next month or so.
All right, I'm in. That sounds great.
Yeah, sounds great.
So is this a good time to wrap, ladies? I mean, I feel like we've covered a lot of good ground. We made it a little sad and then we made it happy again, which is almost like the culmination of a good lovemaking session or a
redemption
song.
In the third act.
Yes.
Thanks everybody for listening in. Check out the TatianaShow.com for more content that's, different than this. If you like this show, proofoflovecast.com. You can leave us a nice review on iTunes. And show us some love on social media. Give us a comment. Tell your friends. And give us some show ideas. We're definitely open for business on that. And we might have some supplemental fun content as well. So we'll see what we come up with. Thanks for listening.
I want to talk about this. Maybe you can cut this out if you don't want it on. But we got a request on one of my social media posts for putting the show on Patreon. What do you guys think about that?
I like that idea because I feel like I have a lot of bonus content, and I have not wanted to do Patreon because I don't like building up a thing at a new place like I did with, every stupid social media platform that became my master.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, there's something to be said for Patreon. It like what happens with Patreon is that it also adds a new layer of work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right. It's extra work. And is it going to be really worth it? And some people are getting away from Patreon too because there's some problems with the platform.
Right. There's some censorship issues. And I don't know, I'm supposed to interview JJ Hales, who has bitbacker.io, and it's like a Patreon, but with crypto. I would be curious to see how to use my profile and talk with him a little bit more and explore that over the next few months. But, people, tell us what you think. I don't know. Do y'all want to do Patreon? Patreon's easy for people that aren't into crypto. And, it's not a hassle and they can, I don't know, but then you can't do a one-time donation. This is too much.
We'll have to think about it.
This is too intense. We can't make these decisions now, but we'll get back to everybody about that.
If there's a way that people want to send us money, how can they do that?
Oh, I think that maybe there should be a Bitcoin link at the bottom of the shows. I have it for Tatiana Show, but I don't think we ever put it in for this one. We'll figure it out and get back to you people. There's show notes and stuff and, there's lots of info on the site. But yeah, that would probably be good. If people want to donate, go to okay, that's how we're going to time it. Cool. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Show me your heart. I know that it's beating. Tell me that you love me too. So I know your heart is true. 'Cause I need some proof of love. 'Cause I need some proof of love. 'Cause I need some proof of love. Thank you for listening to Proof of Love. Please follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Proof of Lovecast. More episodes can be found at proofoflovecast.com. And make sure you leave a review on iTunes and tell your friends. Proof of Love has been brought to you by CryptoMediaHub.com, a boutique marketing and PR agency for Bitcoin and beyond.